What is happening, everyone? Welcome to GBALL Vision. Today we are talking about one of my favorite knife companies, one of my favorite USA made companies and knives. We're talking about the TRM Atom, and it's been a little while since this has had its own dedicated video. This has definitely been included in some other videos, slicing knives, USA knives. It's been featured on the channel quite a bit, but I wanted to kind of dig into this knife a little more, cover it a little better, and since the last time I did anything on this knife by itself was quite a while ago, and it's been carried and used quite a bit more since then. So I figured now was I was cleaning it, and I figured now would be a great time to bust this out again and kind of dive into this knife. So we have a 20 CV DLC coated drop point blade, and this bad boy drops very far, very nice, very low drop point, and then you have a nice amount of edge here for your cutting task. This is gonna be a great slicer. You have a nice thin blade stock, I believe right around 90 thousandths for the blade stock, and then the edge is coming in right around 20 thousandths, between 20 and 25 thousandths in most spots on the blade. You do have dual thumb studs for your deployment options. This is going to be on washers, so if you ever get one of these new from factory, the uncoated ones are going to take some time to break in, but I would double it if you can ever get your hands on one of the DLC coated ones. It's going to take quite a bit longer because of that coating, and then you add in the washers. It's just going to take some extra time. I still think, even after all this time, it's been well over a year since I've got this knife, and I still think it's breaking in. It's very smooth, very nice. It's not really going to have that crazy drop shot action that a heavy blade with bearings has, but it is very smooth, and with a little bit of initiative, this guy, takes maybe like 1 to 2 swings to get it home, but it's nice and smooth. It's just very tight in there. The tolerances are so small on this knife that everything is just very well fit together. It's nice and buttery smooth, though. There's just something different about a knife that's on washers, especially after it's been broken in. Now, this is using the version 1 titanium scales that TRM has. They have a version 2 with a different pattern and texture on them. They both are fantastic. You do get a deep carry titanium pocket clip. You have great access to the liner there with some jimping. The only thing I would really add to this knife is a chamfer. Does it need it? No. It's just one of them things that, it's nice to have. It's just a little added bonus points, a little added comfort. There's plenty of access. They do some fine jimping there, and it works well. Just an added chamfer in there with the jimping and the added chamfer here, the added access would make this just even better than it already is. But as it sits, it is a fantastic knife. Let's go ahead and jump into some specs here. The edge is going to be coming in right around 3 3/16, so just shy of 3 1/4, and we'll call it 3.5 inches for your total blade length there. And then to this very bottom corner, we'll call it 8 inches overall. So it is I think it's a great size for an everyday carry knife. The weight is going to be right around 4 ounces, and I think that is a great weight. It's a great size, a great weight, and depending on the scale material, it might be a little lighter, or it could be a little heavier. I know they have some brass or copper, different sets of scales, and then they have lighter weight stuff like carbon fiber, some G10s. They also have micartas. So there's tons of different flavors that you can get for this knife as far as the scales go. I will probably forever keep these on here because I think this just looks fantastic. Let's bring out a couple size comparison knives. There's the TRM Shadow, the Spyderco Shaman, which is a very close comparison there. How about the Kaiser Escort? Very popular knife. That knife is going to be a little bit smaller than the Atom. How about the Migueron Moyero? That is also going to be a little bit smaller. Let's bring out a bigger guy here. How about the Cold Steel 8010? It's going to be a little bit bigger than that guy. How about the Civivi Voltaire? Is also going to be a little bit bigger than the TRM Atom. So as you can see, it is a mid-size knife, and it's a great size in my opinion. You have a nice thin blade stock, pretty damn thin behind the edge. It's going to make for a nice slicey knife with the acute point here. It's going to be a nice pokey, stabby style of knife as well. And it's going to pierce very well because of that tip and how thin this blade is. It will puncture very well. You do have a nice 50-50 area here where you can choke right up behind that edge. And the ergos in this grip are fantastic. And then one of my favorite grips, you can get right up on that tip for some close precision, pinpoint accuracy cutting if you need. It's fantastic. It's a very simple design, you know. It's a very simple shape, but it's executed to perfection in my opinion. You know, there's tons of handles that are similar to this, a neutral shape, you know, with a swell coming towards the middle, and then there's tons of drop point blades, but the way this is done, it is just executed flawlessly. And then you combine that with TRM being a US company, having some of the best, if not the best, customer service in the production world. It makes for a great buy. If you can get your hands on one, they do drops of neutrons and nerds and atoms and shadows all the time. You gotta be paying attention though, checking their website, checking in with them on Instagram. And if you want one of their knives, you can get one. You just really gotta want to get one. So they drop them in small batches, nothing even remotely close to what bigger production knife companies will drop at one time. Migueron, Civivi, Kaiser, knives like that, they are dropping them in massive batches opposed to TRM. So they're just, you know, a little harder to get than most production knives. And in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with that, because if you really want an Atom or a you can get one. You can get one. You gotta want to get it though. And I think that's fine, because it keeps things kind of, you know, from going crazy. And, you know, the way they do it makes the knife a little more, you want to get this knife. You want to see what this knife is about. And since getting the Neutron 2, which was my first TRM, I bought this guy, and then I wanted a Shadow for a long time. And finally, because of TRM, I was able to get one. And since unboxing the Shadow, this has been really hard to get out of my pocket. It is fantastic. I want to kind of test that edge. I was going over this with a cleaning, like I said, and then I noticed, which broke my heart, this knife has a small chip in the edge. It's going to be hard to notice, but it's right there. Very hard to notice. It's a very small chip, but enough to break your heart. So this is going to need a little stropping at least. You can see where it catches in that spot. But guys, this knife has seen it has seen a lot of carry time, and it has cut a lot of stuff, and that's with no stropping, no sharpening. You know, this is still the factory edge the way that it came, and it's still just got a great working edge on it. Thing is so pokey. I love this knife so much. But that just kind of goes to show how well they heat treat their 20 CV. It is going to hold that edge for a long time, and then you're going to have a nice working edge for an even longer time. You know, and that goes to a good heat treat on the steel. And I would much rather have everything executed to perfection like TRM tries to do, you know, with the heat treat and the tolerances and the builds themselves, and it be harder to get one than it be easy to get one, and the heat treat could be off by a point or two. You know, fitment and stuff isn't always going to be that great, and that sort of thing. So I'd rather have it be harder to get one and everything be right than it be easy to get one and there be question marks all over the board. So, you know, with all that being said, these are some of the best knives for the money that you can get. You know, if you want like a base G10 Atom, I think you can get those for like $200-ish. You know, in between $200 and $300. If you want titanium, they are going to be, you know, $350 to $400. But even at that, with the titanium, that is still a lot lower than a majority of U.S. knife companies. You know, Hinder, Medford, Demco, you know, you name it, Olamic, a ton of different companies are going to be $200 to $600 more than this knife is. So, you know, these guys kind of sit with like Tactile Turn in that area where, you know, they're a smaller boutique type company making U.S. knives, dropping them in smaller batches, and they're keeping the price affordable, obtainable. Yeah, $300 is a decent chunk of money, but considering everything, keeping everything in perspective, this is a knife that, you know, if you spent a couple $100 on it, you would never need another knife again because of how great these are made, because of the customer service. You know, you would never need another knife again. So this could be a buy once and, you know, be done type of deal. It is just excellent. Everything about this knife is fantastic. I can't wait to see what TRM has in store for us, because the models they have put out thus far have been absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to see what they do next. Hopefully a sheep's foot or a Warncliffe or something like that, in a similar build as one of these two, with the river lock would be awesome, or a titanium liner lock. That would be awesome as well. Let me know what you think of TRM down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Do you have any experience with TRM? How many TRMs do you have? If you don't have any, which one are you most interested in? Shadow, Atom, Neutron, Nerd? Leave it down in the comments and let me know. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up button on your way out. If you're new to the channel or you've been here before and you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button down below the video or click that GBALL Vision logo. Right now, I would love to have you here. I'm going to throw up 2 new videos. Definitely go and check those out. I'll catch you on the next one.